Good evening, everybody. This is Rasati here in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining me on the Night Owl podcast. And I'm actually really, really grateful to have this setup for me, right? I get to record from the safety of my phone. I get to record when and where I feel like it. I edit, I post, I upload. I mean, hey, this is the thing. I actually really enjoy what I do. I love this podcast because I get to chronicle my thoughts, my journey, the things that I understand, the things that I don't understand, the things that I'm learning along the way. And I want to share it with you every step of the way, mostly because if it was an aha moment for me, chances are it could be an aha moment for you. Or maybe it's not an aha moment, as in like something you're learning for the first time. Maybe it's something of a reminder, something that you can actually find as inspiration for the day. Maybe you were looking for an answer, and maybe one of these podcast episodes has the answer for you. So I believe that every time I get on the mic and talk to you guys and give you a little piece of my heart, I believe that somewhere out there, this reaches the person it's meant to reach and you get the answer you've been looking for. So I try really hard not to do any of these podcasts when I'm upset. I try really hard to make sure that I am giving you the benefit of the doubt and as many perspectives as possible because I want you to understand the way I understand. And maybe it doesn't fit you right now. Maybe it's just a matter of planting the seed so that later on when you need the information, it's already within you. So this is the way I operate for the most part. I really, really love being able to chronicle and dedicate a portion of my day every day to kind of talking to all of you. I don't get to see any of your faces, but I'm hoping that you know the sound of my voice by by now and you appreciate where I'm coming from. I'm trying my best to share what I know because obviously information is free. Now, application is a different thing entirely, and sometimes you need the accountability to get it sorted, but I'm here to tell it to you straight because life is short, you guys, and there's enough for us to be quibbling about, and advice should not be one of them. Information should not be one of them. So here I am talking to you once again. Now, I wanted to discuss this idea, right? I've seen so many posts lately talking about, you know what, don't ask for advice from people who don't have what you want, right? So if you want to be a millionaire business owner, don't go ask advice from your uncles and aunties unless they are millionaire business owners. If you want to be a successful startup dealing with hand blended spices or hand ground and blended spices, don't go and ask your tailor friend how to build your business because that has nothing to do with hand blending spices. Does that make sense? But here's the flip side of that. So you're not going to go ask advice from somebody who doesn't have what you want, right? If it's a parent who is trying really hard to get through the first couple of years of their child's life and they're really struggling, you're not going to go ask a single guy, right, for advice on how to be a great dad. They won't have the kind of context you need. They haven't lived through some of those things. And even still, if you're going to ask another dad, you're going to ask a dad who's been present so that they can actually help you navigate some of these things. They can tell you what's normal and what's not, what you should watch out for, what you really need to be on red alert for, and what things are just passing phases. Maybe they're climbing up on stuff and jumping off of things. It's a sense of kids that go through a phase that they're trying to test their limits in their bodies and they don't quite understand gravity yet, but they will. So these are the things that you want, right? You want advice, but you're not going to ask advice from anybody who does not have what you want, right? The same thing applies though for criticism. And we never look at it this way. So this occurred to me yesterday when I just finished up with a conversation with one of my clients. They are being criticized by a lot of different people. And they're having a really tough time understanding why people are criticizing them. Why are they, coming at me? And I see it all the time. People will say something, freedom of speech and all that, and then suddenly they'll be like, oh, but don't at me. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what your opinion is of what I just said. It's part and parcel of freedom of speech, but that's another story. But here's the thing. The people who are criticizing them for their choices in life are not people who have what they want either. So let's say person A is trying really hard to be a model, right? A makeup artist, model, whatever, and they showcase their makeup all the time. And person B decided to criticize them, be like, oh my gosh, that was ugly and doesn't really look all that great. I don't even know why you're trying to be so cool all the time. Like, what is your problem? And it turns out person A has actually been through makeup school, like cosmetology school. She has a license. She's doing the best that she can. And person B is a layperson who does her makeup once in a blue moon and just has nothing else better to do than to sit around and criticize people all day. I don't know why we allow ourselves to be affected by people who criticize us, and those people are not attempting the things that we're attempting. We're putting ourselves out there. We're being vulnerable. We're trying really hard to be more than people expect us to be, right? We're stretching ourselves. We're stepping out of our comfort zone. We're putting ourselves on display on purpose, hoping that we can find another version of ourselves, a new version of ourselves. We're trying to expand and become more than we were before, right? And the persons usually that are free enough to criticize you are usually the ones that aren't doing very much with their life. The same thing with people who stand up and speak up about certain aspects of life, like, some inequalities in the world at the moment. They speak up about Black Lives Matter. They speak up about, how it's still not fair, the pay difference between males and females in corporate America or Singapore or wherever. So these people stand up and they say, you know what, I notice this is unequal and I don't like it. And suddenly here comes like 5 people that have a comment about that. I mean, I've been following Bobby Maximus for years. He and I are friends. And even when he says, I do this many dips in this amount of time, I think it was a ridiculous amount of dips, by the way, but I trust him because, he's built like the brick wall of China. I trust that he can do all of that in the time that he says, because it's easy for him. He does it every day. So his body's conditioned to work like that. And somebody came at him and was like, are you sure you can do all that? And then the other thing they started off with, okay, the comment was strange. It started off with everything on this page is false. And then they went off on a pitch for something else that was unrelated. I think it was like stock trading or some crap. So Bobby went at him. He was like, okay, I'm glad your boss is like good at stock trading, but what does that have to do with dips? And does he dip? Like, can you be relevant? Can you talk to me about, what the post is about? And also, by the way, point out where on my page something is false so I can correct myself if it really is wrong. So come to find out, there are a lot of people that will come on and, instigate a conversation just to get attention elsewhere, to divert attention elsewhere, which, yeah, it's a strategy. It's not a good strategy, but it is a strategy. But at the same time, he's not about to take advice from somebody who's a stock trader who has no idea about dips or what it takes to build stamina enough to be able to do as many as he does in 2 minutes or whatever. So he's not bothered by it. He knows his worth. And that's part of realizing your worth. You need to understand where the criticism is coming from. A lot of times we get criticized by our parents. Oh no, you should be doing this better and that better and whatever else. Okay, cool, right. But are you trying to be a fashion designer? Can you help me specifically with what I'm trying to do? I know you see me working late nights and you see me on, the internet all the time or on the phone all the time, but are you doing what I'm doing? Because if you're not, I'm sorry, your criticism doesn't count here. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change what I'm doing. It holds no water for me, right? And that's the thing that we don't tend to pay attention to. We get criticized by people all day long. I have people that will tell me, oh, you shouldn't do this with your child, and you shouldn't do that. Oh, you're going to ruin your child's life if you don't have a maid. I've literally had people tell me that you're going to ruin your child's life if you don't have a maid, because if anything happens to you, well, who's going to take care of her? If you get late from work, who's going to take care of her? And I'm sitting there thinking, well, have you ever tried not having a maid? Because you're sitting from the comfort of having a maid at the moment, but have you tried what I'm trying? I'm trying to raise my daughter myself. I'm not trying to let some other person with a different set of values, a different set of ideas raise my child just so I can go to work longer hours. I'm not trying to hand over my responsibility of raising this new human being to somebody else because I can afford to. I'm trying to do it myself. So if you are not doing the same thing that I am, if you are not successful at raising a child without a maid, I don't want to hear it. Literally, I don't want to hear it. And it's come down to like conversations like that because I'm attempting something you haven't dreamt of in your wildest dreams. You are doing what everyone else is doing because it is the norm. It is the way things are done. So when people stand up all of a sudden, when people talk about things that are controversial, it's because they're finally ready and they feel safe enough in their own skin to be able to say something about the issues that are going on. Most of us turn a blind eye. Why? Because it doesn't affect us yet. Because it's not painful to us yet. Because if it was, we'd be shouting from the rooftops, right? If you fell in love, let's take the movie Bombay. Let's say you fell in love with someone from a different religion. I did. I fell in love with a Christian young man. Okay? I fell in love with 2 Christians, actually. And both of them were African American. So different race, different culture, different religion. There was a language barrier, kind of. I speak English, but I also speak Tamil. They only speak English, which is not a problem, but that also means that they will always feel awkward when I'm with my family because we speak Tamlish, which is a mix of Tamil and English, right? So with all of that together, they were happy, my family was happy to advise me about what I should and shouldn't do in these relationships. But here I am blending two cultures, two races, two religions, and I'm doing the best I can. So unless one of you in my religion, in my family, is married to a black man and has successfully been married to a black man and has successfully prayed your Hindu prayers and also respected the Christian way of life as well, I don't want to hear what you got to say. Sorry. I love you. I appreciate your concern, but what you have to say about how I'm living my life has no value with what I'm trying to do because I'm attempting something you've never attempted before. So I hope this makes sense, you guys. It is kind of in your face a little bit, but I didn't realize the significance of it until I saw it from a different point of view. And honestly, I kept thinking about all those, those posts in social media where it says, don't take any advice from anybody who doesn't have what you want, right? Don't go trying to be a billionaire and then be getting advice from, the mama kada down the street because chances are they're not millionaires if they're still running the store. Now, if they have several mama kadas and they have other people running the store for them, then there's a chance they're millionaires. And yeah, okay, I'll take advice from you because you would know what I'm asking and you would know the hurdles that I might face in the future. You'd be able to warn me properly. But the same is true for criticism as well. The other thing I want to point out about criticism, because it affects our self-esteem so much, right? This is why I'm talking about criticism today. The other thing about criticism is the people who are doing something with their lives don't have time to sit around and criticize anybody. They're busy doing. They are not busy watching. So if there are people out there that are busy watching and telling you what to do and what not to do every step of the way, chances are they're not attempting much of anything. They're not putting their soul out there for the world to see. They're not trying to be themselves as much as possible. They're hiding with the crowd. They're following the sheep. They're doing what, bare minimum. They're watching life go by. Because honestly, if they were busy building something, they wouldn't have the time. And if they were busy building something, chances are they would have the compassion to understand the kind of crap you're about to face because they're doing the same thing. They're facing the same shit. So I hope this makes sense, you guys. I hope it gave you a little bit more pause for thought because so often we build our lives based on what other people will and won't accept of us, will and won't expect of us, how we do or do not disappoint them. And it's high time that we understand the value of the things that these people say. And when they open their mouths and say the things that they say, they define themselves for us. If you want to be a valuable part of my life, you will do your best to understand what I'm going through. Maybe you won't give me advice, but you may brainstorm with me. You may dream a little bit with me. You would encourage me to keep on going, whether you have what I want or not. Encouragement, totally cool. I'm all for it. Criticism, judgment, that's not coming from a place of love, you guys, okay? So I hope this makes sense. I hope it gave you something else to think about. And as always, please drop any concerns, questions in the comments below. I do want to hear from you. If you want to ask a specific question that you need, like personalized help with, DM me, all right? I'd be happy to sit down and talk to you. We can do a clarity call. Those are free, okay? We can figure out where you're at and see if I can help at all. But in the meantime, take it with a grain of salt. Let them speak. There's no need to correct them either. You don't got time for that if you're building something. Do what you think is best because at the end of the day, this is your life. And when Judgment Day does come, you have no one else's decisions or actions to be held accountable for except for your own. So don't let nobody else stand in your way. We have a tough enough time standing in our own damn way. All right? I love you guys. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.